A former Victorian Liberal Party power broker has had his name cleared after settling a defamation lawsuit with Nine Entertainment. Marcus Bastiaan was accused of branch stacking by 60 Minutes in August 2020. But last week, he received a payout from Nine, along with the removal of up to 30 pieces of content from its website. But what this ordeal for Bastiaan also represents is another example of internal bust-ups within the Liberal Party. Marcus Bastiaan joins me now. Marcus, thank you. This has been quite a saga. It unfolded in 2020. What was the reaction or potential involvement, as you saw it, from some of your contemporaries within the Liberal Party?
Hello, Cory, and thanks for having me on. At the time, there was a small group who I think were not particularly surprised, for they'd been heavily involved in briefing and putting the material together. Overwhelmingly, though, party members were upset to see the party filleted publicly material which should be kept within the party, spread out across the media, and of course the sorts of people who are involved in it largely getting away with it. There were two federal members of parliament attacked needlessly, and years on the matter's been resolved. But unfortunately, some of those people are still in very senior roles within the party. And this behaviour continues to the detriment of the brand in Victoria. And until the party can work out how it's going to govern itself, it'll never govern in this state.
Well, one of the things I found remarkable was that there was an internal examination of the allegations. There was also an independent external investigation conducted, and they both found that you did nothing wrong. So why were you targeted for this political character assassination?
I don't think it would be of much surprise for Liberal Party members to know that I've been fairly critical of the way the party's worked, the closed shop, the fact that so many of our state members particularly have failed to perform. For 25 years, the party has in Victoria really under-delivered, and within the Liberal Party organisation I was not afraid or backward in putting that forward. There is a significant cultural problem which still exists in the party. The membership is older. It is from the same dozen or so electorates, and the diversity that a modern political organisation needs, the skills, the sorts of people it should be recruiting, the membership that it needs is not apparent. And unfortunately for people who want change within organisations, the establishment often pushes back. And in this case, the establishment certainly pushed back. And unfortunately, up until very recently, the party has not seen that change. Fortunately, there are some green shoots appearing. There are some fresh faces who entered the state parliament at the last election. But collectively, the party continues to go backwards in Victoria.
Marcus, you mentioned that old chestnut diversity because it's the refuge of those who often don't want any diversity. Now, for your efforts of trying to rebuild the Victorian Liberal Party and to manifest change, you're no longer involved in it, is that correct?
I support candidates where I can, but as a member, no longer involved. It's an organisation which requires a lot of time. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I've got a couple of businesses, and I find my days are already very full. There are terrific people still involved in the organisation, and I encourage anyone who is right of centre in their thought and their beliefs to get involved, not only in the Liberal Party but more broadly in conservative and liberal politics, to support the changes you want to see politically and culturally. But at the moment, I'm not a member, and probably after tonight in this interview, will remain the case and find it even harder to get back in.
Well, Marcus, given that that's the prospects for you, what's your elevator pitch about what needs to change in the Liberal Party if they were to come to you and seek your counsel?
Well, I doubt that they would, but the party's got to get back to its fundamental value set, and that is to reduce the size of government and the cost of government. The party was founded fundamentally on the ideas of the individual over the state, and those ideas have not lessened in their importance. They are not difficult to communicate, but the party for 25 years in this state has failed to narrate that. At a federal level, since the 2014 election campaign, I don't think the party's narrated that either. Leadership changes, internal leaking, policies that are not true to the party's values. These are all things that have weakened its position. And until the party fundamentally works out who they are and their purpose, and of course how to govern themselves, I don't think they'll govern in this state, and we'll find it very hard to find ascendancy at a federal level, particularly with the changes in our culture, and certainly a Labor Party that learnt its lessons from the Rudd years. I don't think the Liberal Party has yet, at a state level, learnt those lessons from the knifing of Tony Abbott, the fiasco that was Malcolm Turnbull, and then the ultimate demise under Morrison.
I can sense Liberal Party members across the country nodding in agreement with you. Marcus Bastiaan, thank you for joining me tonight on Inside the News.